Michael Clark. I'm the Executive Director with KICKO, which stands for Knoxville Inner City Kids Outreach. And we've had the privilege of walking with Ted Travis, helping us focus on transformational discipleship as we work with urban youth in our context here in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it's given us some thoughts on urban youth today as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the writing of his book, Building Cathedrals. Overarching, we see that a holistic, healthy approach in supporting our children and youth is essential. We observe that meeting the physical, emotional, and spiritual health of our students is vital to seeing them overcome the adversity that they are facing and becoming all that God has created them to be. So our organization and team, we had that privilege of walking with Ted as a coach and mentor. And we brought him to our community a few times and held regular monthly meetings to discuss what would transformational discipleship look like in the urban context where we're at. And while many things have changed and presented new challenges, I really believe that the nuts and bolts of urban ministry have remained the same. Many of our youth continue to ask the age-old questions of purpose and meaning. While the pressures of culture and society have exacerbated the dynamics of broken homes with identity issues, we are seeing sexual and gender identity grow in our urban communities at an uncanny rate. It's displaying the need for healthy conversations around serious topics that our youth are trying to understand while their brains are still developing. Our program builds in a small group model led by a leader that creates freedom for the youth to ask their own questions and talk through with peers as facilitated by a caring adult. This has helped tremendously in creating a safe place for our youth to express themselves and discover what they're really wrestling with and seek wisdom advice as they discover truth. And so for us, we're looking at what really is the purpose of youth ministry. And for us, youth ministry is intended to equip and empower young people to discover their potential and their unique God-given purpose. This is done in a multitude of ways to holistically support them to fully realize the development that God has and a plan and path for them. So some of our greatest outcomes of seeing this purpose embodied is when our youth not only begin to walk in their purpose, but are supported and encouraged to do it as young leaders today in their own communities. So finally, can we provide a story of how transformational discipleship has changed a young person? Absolutely. After walking with Ted, our staff and volunteers crafted models that truly created a pipeline for our youth to develop as young leaders. We had always said our desire was to work ourselves out of a job, but we really didn't have that process in place to actually do that. Creating our Emerging Leaders program was the response to correcting that. We are now in our third year of emerging leaders being hired, trained, and empowered to serve their younger peers in their own neighborhoods. That first year we started, a young man was riding on the van with our youth director, and he was excited about the Emerging Leaders program, but he said this as he looked at our youth director. He said, "I never thought that KICKO was something that I could do with my life." And when I heard that, when we talked about this, his excitement and then this statement, we thought, how in the world have we failed him? Why did our youth not see that the work we do is something that they could give themselves to as well? Why didn't they believe that KICKO was something that they could do with their life? We knew that this had to change, and we were finally getting started in changing that. Initially, our emerging leaders were summertime hires, where the better part of January through May months were used to help these high schoolers learn about writing a resume, coming to an interview prepared both in dress attire as well as research and questions. And then following their interview, they would be hired and sign both an agreement of what they would give and receive in this employment partnership, but also they would sign a covenant commitment. It was a signing displaying the expectations that we had for them as young leaders. What kind of life would they live as young leaders and having that tag on them in their own communities? And so for Tion and others in his Emerging Leaders cohort, this raised the bar for them to rise to. It has given them an opportunity to display leadership among their peers, younger and older. And part of our incentives for this program was not only to provide pay, which we have, but also unique life experiences that they otherwise might not be afforded. Initially, we wanted to run these experiences on a 3-year rotation of going to the beach, going skiing, and then an overseas experience for community development work. Well, the first 2 summers included taking these high schoolers to the beach because most of them had never seen the sand and ocean together, and it was incredible to observe and watch. We were truly the more blessed ones in that experience. And they loved it so much that we had to repeat the beach twice. And so this summer, we have a group of 9 that will be traveling to Puerto Rico to do the very same work that they do in their own communities here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Instead, they will partner with churches there, working in housing developments outside of the landlocked states now, and be on the other side of a cross-cultural experience. And to take our youth not only out of their city and state, but country will literally broaden their horizons and allow for dreams to expand and their real potential to blossom. And so we look forward to taking T on as well as the others, because we know that truly the best is yet to come in transformational discipleship.